Hey guys, welcome back to Almost Inevitable Design. My name is still PK and I make WordPress tutorials for website developers and designers. I think I got that right. Okay, cool. So we are going into lesson 6. Yep, 6. And this one is very useful, I'm sure. Title of this course is Practical, so it is useful. Now, the reason why I'm focusing on position in this one is because so many people I've seen in the comments when people ask each other questions, so many people get this wrong. Okay, not only do they get how position works wrong, they also don't understand how it is related to z-index. So we're going to be talking about both position and z-index. Okay. Cool. All right, so we are going to get into because this is just practical, I'm going to go into the 4 different types of positions. There are, and as you can see here, I've prepared a little bit to make a box that is 10 rem width and 1 rem height. And as you can see, sticky, fixed, absolute, and there's one more, which is relative. Okay. Now, relative is most common. It is pretty much almost default, almost the same thing as static. I should have started the timer. Okay. Here we go. There we go. Cool. Relative is almost the same thing as static. It's just that relative is where absolute is based off of. We're gonna get to that after we finished fixed and sticky. So let's start with fixed, which is pretty easy to understand. Okay, now we have this here because I just wanted to show that this would be a scrolling page, and that's why I added more text in there. I'm gonna put in something that says box, and it's gonna be sticky box. Okay. Now, if you wanted to know how I did that, this is how Emmet works. You just put in the classes like you would a CSS selector, and then press tab, and it expands into a div by default. If you want to add something else like header, top nav, something like that, then it becomes header because that's the element. Okay. Anyways, we have that sticky box. So we have that guy there, okay, which is in dark cyan. Cool. Shouldn't be sticky. I wanted to start with fixed, but we'll start with sticky because that came first. I put it in that order, I guess. All right, so this is sticky. Now, sticky is not very useful. This is practical, so it's not very useful. Two reasons why it's not useful. One, you cannot have different states. You cannot use different designs if you don't have different states of the element. When a header is when a page is scrolled and you want the header navigation to be sticky, you make it sticky with JavaScript, because that means that you can add an extra class, and that means you can have two totally different, not totally different, but you can change the design in many ways, like even making the header narrower on scroll or shorter on scroll. You can change a logo on scroll. You can change whatever you want on scroll if it works with JavaScript. If you do it with CSS, it is helpful in some cases, like a banner for a coupon maybe, but other than that, it is not very helpful. And if you have a sticky header that is achieved through JavaScript, then it's not going to work anyways. You can't see it anyways. All right, so it's not very helpful. That's why I don't use this. But another thing, this is number 2. Another thing is a lot of web pages have overflow X hidden. Okay. Now, if a sticky position, any of its ancestors have overflow, it will not work. Now, the reason why this all happens is because position is a very old CSS property. It is a very useful and a fundamental property, but because it's so old, a lot of people don't understand it because they never started their structured learning that way. They just pick up things and they just focus on the new stuff. They don't get into the fundamentals that much, like float. Nobody uses float anymore. But anyways, still, position is important because people still need to use it. Okay, so I'll just show you an example of how sticky works, and we're gonna take it out because we don't need it in practical. Okay, all right. So position sticky, and you can't just have position sticky and be done with it. You need a threshold, so it's top, left, right, bottom, top 0, and once we do that, it looks the same, so that means it's relative until you scroll and it touches the viewport. And oh yeah, by the way, I forgot, this thing has overflow X. All right, that comes from the framework CSS file that I use, so I'll take that out, and now you can see that it's stickies. Okay, cool. But like I said, nothing changes in the HTML, in the thing itself. See, nothing changes, so you can't change the design or anything like you would in modern website headers. Okay, all right, next let's get to fixed. All right, let's get to fixed. So we're going to change that sticky box to fixed box, and we get a new color, which is orange red. There we go. Let's give it positions fixed. If I can spell it, fixed. Now, of course, with this as well, you will need a threshold, top, left, right, and bottom. Let's put it up here. Okay, let's give it like a little thing there. That means it's on the right of the page, right 0, and of course top 0. All right, and there you go, done. And it doesn't move at all. It is stuck there. All right, stuck. Done. Okay, now we don't need that anymore. We're gonna go with absolute box. Okay, if I can spell it. Okay, back to absolute. That sea green is not very helpful. Dark cyan looks too similar. Let's try something like light blue. If I can spell it. Ooh, steel blue. That's cool. It's not cool. All right, so there we go. It's absolute. Now, absolute is very important. We have 6 minutes, so we're doing good time. I'll try to explain this the best I can. Now, the way that absolute position works is you need any of its parents, it's whatever parent, any of its ancestors. It's better if it's more controlled, so it's better if we use a direct parent. But any of its ancestors, the one that has position relative defined is the one that starts the positioning. Okay, so let's say for the example, this thing here, this frame here is the relative position, and let's add this thing. It's a hard disk. So this is absolute position. So you without giving this thing relative positioning, then it'll just be the same as a relative position. But if you give this relative position and you say top 0, it's going to go top 0. Okay, now things push in from each side. Okay, they push in, they push inward. So let's give the parent, which is box, relative position, and let's give absolute box position absolute, and let's give it a top of 0 and right 0. And what's going to happen is this thing is going to end up right here. Okay, there you go. All right. Now, did you notice that this space just disappeared? All right. It's because, all right, let me show you that again. See? It has all this space here, but if we make this absolute position, this goes away. Oh, I could have done it easier like that. That's easier. All right, so you can see that, right? So what happens is if it is in absolute position, then its space that it takes up in the document, HTML document, it goes away, poof, because it's going to now be on top of everything else. All right, technically on top. It's going to be technically on top of H1 because anything that is higher in the document has by default lower Z index. It's not technically a different Z index, but it by default overlaps, if it has to, from the top element, the top piece of code, all the way to the bottom. So this is on the bottom. It's like pages, all right? And then this technically is supposed to be on top. So if you scrunch it all up, then this will go on top of these guys, okay? So this pulls itself out of the document order, I guess. Is that how you order? Yep. And then it will, what does it say? Flow, document flow, right? Anyways, so that's what that does, all right? Now, we can take this relative positioning out if we wanted to, all right? Now, this column is also, all the sections, rows, and columns have that because it comes from the framework document, a framework style sheet, because I use absolute positioning quite often for designs. A lot of designers, if they have like little design elements here and there, it's best that you have relative position on things here and there. All right, a lot of page builders use relative position for their main sections. When you load a section, it's most likely relative position. Columns and rows, a lot of them have that as well. Okay, so if I take that out, then it goes all the way up here because there's nothing that has relative position. For example, we can make this guy have relative position. Okay, let's give it relative position, relative, and you can see that's where that is now. Okay, we're not going to do that, so let's take that out again. Let's give it to this guy. Now you can see padding, right? You can see padding. This one has no padding on top. It's just the margins, so the box itself doesn't go any wider than that. But this guy, the section, actually has padding, so the box itself, if you add background to it, the background will be, you know, of the whole box, right? So if we make this guy position relative, then that's where that ends, all right? It doesn't, see, just because the content is in here doesn't mean the box itself is there. All right, if you want to do that, you need to use margins and not paddings. We learned all this, right? Okay, so I have 1 minute left. All right, so that's how that works. That's really important that you understand that absolute positioning needs relative positioning. Okay, now I'm going to pause this for a very quick second. I have 1 minute left. Pause that, and I'm going to go into a really quick thing about z-index. Let's do a jump cut right here. Okay, I've seen a lot of people, and it's, right now it's paused. I'm going to talk about this, just a very quick side note. I've seen a lot of people give advice to others, and a lot of times when there's design where you see like an image, that's an image, and a text box overlap like that. People, this kind of design has been pretty popular, I guess. That kind of stuff, a lot of people suggest using negative margins. Sometimes it's okay, a lot of times it's not. Also, if you want to add like little design elements, some people try to force it with margins again, and that is like the worst way of doing it. It's better to use absolute positioning, and you need to understand that its parent needs relative position. And also another thing that is important that has to be brought up when we're talking about positioning is the Z index. Okay, now I think in electromagnetism you learn something like this, where you have like force, current, and field. It's been a while, okay? Like Faraday or something, I don't know. You have like both, right? One is for force. No, this is for field, and that's for force, to get the force. I think something like that. Not 100% sure. I forgot. It's been a while. Anyways, I have a university bachelor's in science degree in physics, and I don't remember any of this. It's been a very long time. So you have this, right? Now the reason why I'm mentioning this is because like X, Y, and Z index, right? X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z. Okay? So Z index is the vertical stacking order. All right? If you're looking at the screen, lower Z index, higher Z index. Okay? Lower, higher. You start at 0, there's negative, and there's positive. All right? You use integers, and it can be up to like 999,999 or something like that. You can go up very high, but it doesn't really matter, because if you understand how things work, you don't even need to force anything. It just needs to be only slightly higher than its adjacent elements. Okay? In order for, okay, start at the timer. In order for Z index to work, you need a position. It has to have a position. And then if they're siblings, the new Z index, if you have two relative positions and then their children have their own absolute position, then it all follows that relative position. All right? So if things have, I'm trying to, oh, this is like 20 seconds left, and I'm getting nervous, and I need to say it well. I'm just gonna pause it so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, that's easier, I guess. Okay, let's see. Okay, so for adjacent elements or sibling elements, then if they're all positioned, then Z index will give it. That timer is going to go off in 17 seconds. The Z index will give it its overlapping order. Okay, so let's give that a try. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to all right. Cool. We're going to put that in there. And the H1 is going to be relative. We don't care about, well, we can leave that relative as well. That doesn't really matter anymore. This is going to be relative. If I can spell it. That's like a thing that's going to, oh man. All right, so that's relative. So that's what we get. Now the reason why it's over here is because that is a block. I don't care if it's a block or not. Well, but what I do care is I want it left, so you can see that happening. All right, now if they do not have a Z index, all right, if they're all positioned, you know, they just land where they're supposed to. But you can see that they don't have a Z index, which is why the one that is higher up in the HTML document flow goes lower. All right, so the one that comes later from your perspective is closer to you. Okay, it's like pages. All right, so that's the first page. Page 1 is on that side, and you keep going up. Page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you keep going up. Right, something like that. Now, if you want to undo that, what you can do is you can make the absolute box have a z index of 2. Oh, we already have it there. Okay, so -2. And there you go. Okay, it can be -1. It's not a problem. All you need to do, all it needs to be is not 0. As long as it's a negative number, then it's fine. Okay, so that's how that works, and I hope that really helps you understand at least a little bit about how z-index works. Like I said, it needs a position to have the numbers actually work, and if it doesn't have a number, then the document flow, in terms of document flow, the one on top goes on the bottom, like you're stacking pieces of paper. Okay, I hope that helps. I hope you understand at least a little bit more about position. Of course, feel free to write questions down below. All the content that you can download for this, that I'm writing over here, you can download it from the link below. Please join me on my Discord, and we can all chat about CSS and that kind of stuff. It's going to be fun. So I'll see you there. Take care, and I'll see you in the next lesson. All right, bye.